Thank you, Senator Hatch.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, General. We're happy to have you here, and we know you have a difficult job, and we always want to be helpful to you if we can. But last week, there's something really bothers me over this last weekend. After a 2-year investigation, the FBI, in cooperation with the Department of Justice, arrested 19 Utahns trafficking in Indian artifacts from federal lands. Now, I'm extremely concerned by the manner in which these warrants were executed. They came in full combat gear, SWAT team gear, like they were going after, the worst drug dealers in the world. And in the process, no, I don't believe anybody should be taking Indian artifacts. I'll establish that right off. But in the process, one of the leading figures in the whole county down there, who was a leading doctor, had delivered almost everybody who lived in the county as a doctor, committed suicide. He was, by all intents and purposes, an upstanding member of the community, a decent, honorable man, critical to the community from a health and welfare standpoint. And the way they came in there, I mean, I have no problem with going after people who violate the law. But they came in there like they were the worst common criminals on earth, and in the process, this man became overwhelming to him, I suppose, and a really strong individual, good person goes out and commits suicide. Now, this bothered me. The media reports state that over 100 federal agents were used in this operation. And that extreme show of force and presence has been perceived by the community out there and the civic leaders in San Juan County as not only unnecessary, but brutal. Now, I am questioning the motivation of some of the higher-ups at Justice and of the Interior. The day after these raids were conducted, Secretary Salazar and Deputy Attorney General David Ogden appeared before the media touting how successful this investigation was. Now, I've been in the Senate for now my 33rd year, and I felt like it was a dog and pony show to me, and I know one when I see it, and this has all the classic signs of one. The offenses for which these warrants were issued were nonviolent offenses. One has to think that the manpower and resources allocated to this operation were usually reserved for, like I say, arresting truly violent felons. Now, let me contrast this case and compare it to another federal sweep that also occurred last week. In North Texas, after a 2-year investigation, the FBI arrested people involved in a large drug trafficking organization that extended from Texas to Massachusetts. The FBI seized cash, weapons, real estate, and vehicles. FBI officials say that this ring allegedly distributed $22 million in cocaine. Ironically, there was not a major press event regarding the drug sweep in which the Deputy Attorney General Ogden addressed the media. And I guess what I'm saying, I know you well. We've been friends all these years. I have great respect for you. We may differ on some things, but that's normal as far as I'm concerned. But for all these reasons, can you just explain to me what, if any, factors were used to measure the appropriate level of force and personnel for the Utah operation? I mean, here's the article on the 17 arrests for these violent drug situations. That's about it. But give me some reason for all this. And our people out there are up in arms, and I think properly so.
Well, first, let me express my sympathy for the family. The person, the doctor who took his own life. Obviously, that is a very sad thing, and if it was related to this operation, it is something that saddens me. It is not something certainly that we intended to have happen.
It's completely destroyed good feelings towards the government and that whole community.
Yeah. The arrests that were done were felony arrests, and as best as I can tell, they were done in accordance with the FBI and Bureau of Land Management standard operating procedures. When arrests are made, in even cases that seem to be nonviolent, there is always a danger for the law enforcement officer who is effecting that arrest, and it's a difficult thing to ask them to assume certain things as their...
I'm with you on that, but in this case, this is a doctor who everybody respected, everybody loved in the community. I'm just centering on his case since he was so overwrought by it, he took his life. And that community, you know how hard it is to... to get upstanding doctors to move into some of these rural communities and do what this man was doing. Now, again, I don't justify stealing or taking Indian artifacts if that's what happened here. But I guess, nor do I want to put you through a lot of pain here. I hope you'll do something about that type of activity in the future. I mean, you can bring all the force you want against drug dealers and people who clearly are violent felons where our people might be in danger. But in this case, there wasn't the slightest possibility anybody could have been endangered down in that county.
Well, we want to use the appropriate amount of force that is necessary, but we also want to keep in mind the protection, the responsibility I have to make sure that the lives of law enforcement officers engaged in these
I'm with you,
operations are not put at
but
risk.
again, I'd say in that instance, that shouldn't have happened. Well, let me just change the subject for a minute, because